This one means what? That each and every accountant must comply with these particular principles. They are the main and core principles that as long as you're an accountant, you're supposed to go ahead and comply with. These principles, I'll start by listing them. Item number 1 is called integrity. Item number 2 is called objectivity. While item number 3 is referred to as professional competence, and due care. Remember always that this is one principle, they are not two. However, when we explain them, we are going to explain them as two. Then we have item number 4, which we refer to it as confidentiality. And having created confidentiality, we have item number 5, because there are only 5 principles that are supposed to be governing accountant, is professional behavior. Professional behavior. So we have 5 fundamental principles. Let me repeat because that's very crucial. 5 fundamental principles in accounting and auditing are integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality, and then we have professional behavior. I'll explain one after the other, starting with what? Integrity. Perhaps you have ever had your parents tells you, try to avoid such kind of a team, try to avoid such kind of a friend, try to avoid that kind of a person. Maybe because the person himself is a what? Is a drug addict. That is how you create integrity. Avoiding being associated with people of certain particular character. The same case applies in accountancy. In auditing and accounting, we say integrity imposes an obligation on all accountants to not to be associated. Do not be associated. Not to be associated. Then we ask ourselves, with what? With reports or with information, or we say with communication, where they believe that those reports and communication contains misleading statements or false statement. That's the simplest definition. However, based on what you know, we have what we call general knowledge of the word integrity. If I was defining integrity under normal circumstances, I will say integrity means to be honest, to be upright, and to be truthful in all your dealings. That can also be a part of the definition. To be honest. To be honest. That is another synonym for what? Integrity. In all your dealings. But the key point that I want you to note is that if you are an accountant, you are associated with reports and information and documents. Any document you handle, make sure that does not contain false information. And any document that you handle, make sure that that document does not contain details furnished or furnished recklessly. Furnished recklessly. So avoid situations and scenarios whereby you are having information that you have not been auditing, or information that you have never seen, or information that has been furnished maybe without proper due care. I repeat, when you're defining integrity, you can define using your own words. You can say it means to be honest, to be upright, and to have fair dealings in all your relationship. Or you can go ahead and say integrity is a principle that imposes an obligation on all accountants not to be associated with reports, information, and documents that they know are misleading or contains false statement, or that they know the details in that particular report have been furnished recklessly. And you have the definition of that particular term, integrity. So having covered integrity, the next item that we are supposed to be looking at is item number 2. And the item number 2 we had said is objectivity. Objectivity is another term that people confuse with independence. However, there is no major difference between objectivity and independence. So if you are an auditor, and you are an auditor of what? Sound judgment. You say you make judgment without being compromised. So you say your judgment should not be compromised, by bias, or what we refer to as conflict of interest, or what we refer to as undue influence of others, or undue influence of others. So this one, we are saying that if you are an accountant, you have an obligation to make sound judgment and ensure that your judgment is not compromised by biasness, conflict of interest, or undue influence of others. So for this term, the simplest way, just like you can define integrity as honesty, objectivity, you can define it as free from influence. Free from influence. So if you are an accountant, we say you are not supposed to be influenced, or you're not supposed to compromise your judgment because of bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence of others. Accountants are not required to compromise. That is one. Their what? Judgment. Because of what? Bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence of others. So don't ever allow, whenever you are forming an opinion, someone to come with a different opinion and you adopt that particular opinion. With that, you'll have done what? You'll have maybe affected your objectivity or your focus. I have item number 3 here, which I'm going to discuss, and that is referred to as professional competence. Professional competence and due care. Competence and due care. This one, just like this, imposes an obligation. We say they have obligations. Who are these people? Accountants. To do what? One, to maintain professional knowledge, and skills, so as to provide competent services. Skills to provide competent or quality services. That is an obligation for all accountants. Because ethics is the question of what are you supposed to do? And ethics is also another term for what aren't you supposed to do? So when I'm defining this one using do not, I'll say auditors should not accept engagement where they know they do not have the necessary skills and knowledge to provide quality services. Professional accountants are prohibited from accepting engagement where they know they do not have necessary knowledge and skills to provide competent services or quality services. That's one way of defining that particular term. But this one just define competence. There is this word here, due care. Due care means to act diligently. This is the first item. This is the second item. To act diligently. And to act diligently is very simple. It means whenever you are performing a particular function, make sure you can comply with the laws and regulations as well as the requirement of the engagements, and make sure you are thorough in each and every work that you are going to be making or to be performing. As well, be careful and be timely. So I'm going to put those 3 points here. One, we say be thorough in everything that you are going to be doing. 2, be careful in everything that you are going to be providing or reporting. And 3, be on time, timely performance of the work. To act diligently means to act in accordance with the requirements of the engagement, thoroughly, carefully, and on a timely basis. This is what we call professional competence. Professional competence and due care, we can first of all divide it in two categories before defining it, and then we can define it as professional competence, having an obligation to maintain professional knowledge and skills so as to provide competent professional services or quality services. Or quality services.